Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. So let's go to our memorization verse for the week. Our last day for this one, 1426. Aruna, why don't you grab a chair? You can just sit. Yeah. Better. 1426. Ready?
Oh, I was just thinking about you.
Yeah, Daniel's here.
That's fine.
Okay, 1426. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Studian. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. And then we have the song for the English. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahma. All right. So now we'll go to where we left off, which is chapter 17. Hare Krishna. Text 5 and 6. So this chapter is called The Divisions of Faith. And Krishna just finished the 16th chapter, which is Divine and Demoniac Natures. And then remember, Arjuna, at the beginning of chapter 17, he asks a question, what is the situation of those who worship, but not exactly according to the scriptures? They use their imagination, they try to concoct their own religion, but still they consider themselves religious, just maybe not in the way that scripture says they should be. Like, what's up with them? Are they in goodness, passion, or ignorance? And then Krishna basically says, very good question, yes. That the nature of people, like everybody, by nature we have some faith. He says we're made of faith. We can't not have faith in something or someone. That everybody puts their faith in something. And some people put it in Krishna, some people put it in Jesus, some people put it in, Elvis Presley, some people put it in Hitler, some people put it in some O.J. Simpson, whatever, people put it in, or Michael Jackson, or whatever, people put their faith in different people that they consider to be wonderful and powerful, or they have some philosophy of life that they resonate with, and they take to be their worshipable idol, right? Like we use that word, like if someone's a teen idol, right? It means literally that teenagers worship them, right? Yeah. Because they're good looking, because they're a movie star, because whatever, they said a few cool things. Nowadays, like if someone's like a social media influencer or something, they become like a social media idol, right? So these are people and people put their faith in those people. They'll listen to what they say, right? Why? Because they have faith. They think, oh, this is somebody that has good things to say and I want to listen to them. So depending on which mode of nature we're influenced in, we put our faith in something or someone. And then he goes on to say that if we're influenced by goodness, if people are influenced by goodness, they'll put their faith in demigods. If they're influenced by the mode of passion, then they'll put their faith in ordinary, powerful human beings. And if they're in the mode of ignorance, they'll put their faith in ghosts or spirits, kind of like dark stuff. And now he's going to extend this last part a little bit, talking about, let's see here. Yeah, talking about the practices of these people who are influenced heavily by the mode of ignorance. So it's going to be a couple of dark verses here. But anyways, brace ourselves. So text 5 to 6. Ashastra vihitam goram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambahankara samyukta kamaraga balanvitaha karshayanta sharirastam Uttagrama machetasaha mam chaivanta sharirasta tan vidyasura nishtayam. All right. You want to read, Aruna?
Those who undergo severe austerities and difficulties, not welcome in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who thirst at the material elements of the body, as well as the super soul dwelling within, are known as demons. There are persons who manufacture modes of austerity and penances which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunction. For instance, fasting for some ulterior purpose, such as to promote a purely political end, is not mentioned in the scriptural direction. The scriptures recommend fasting for spiritual advancement, not for some political end or social purpose. Persons who take to such austerity are, according to Bhagavad Gita, certainly demoniac. Their acts are against the scriptural injunction and are not beneficial for the people in general. Actually, they act out of pride, false ego, lust, and attachment for material enjoyment. By such activity, not only is the combination of material elements of which the body is constructed disturbed, but also the supreme personality of Godhead himself living in the body. Such unauthorized fasting or austerities for some political end are certainly very disturbing to others. They are not mentioned in the Vedic literature. A demoniac person may think that he can force his enemy or other parties to comply with his desired by his method. But sometimes one dies by such fasting. These acts are not approved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he says that those who are engaged in them are demons. Such demonstrations are insult to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are enacted in disobedience to the very scriptural injunctions. The old Achetasa is significant in this connection. Persons of normal mental condition must obey the scriptural injunctions. Those who are not in such a position neglect and disobey the scriptures and manufacture their own way of austerity and one should always remember the ultimate aid of the people as described in the previous chapter. The Lord forces them to take birth in the womb of demoniac person. Consequently, they will live by a demoniac principle life after life without knowing their relationship with God, except the personality of God. If, however, such persons are fortunate enough to be guided by a spiritual master who can direct them to the path of Vedic wisdom, they can get out of this entanglement and ultimately achieve the supreme.
Okay, yeah. So the thing is that, yeah, these people are doing austerities and penances. So the process of austerity it's a spiritual technique, right? That some types of spiritualists use, that they voluntarily practice penances in order to, get off the bodily concept of life, basically, to control the mind, control the senses, focus. And and there are austerities that even in Krishna consciousness, although ours are minimal, but there are some austerities, right? Like waking up early in the morning before sunrise and fasting on festival days. Like yesterday, we fasted for Balaram's appearance day, fasting till noon. Ekadasi, we don't eat grains or beans. So it's an austerity, right? Just eating potatoes and quinoa and vegetables. It doesn't really satisfy the hunger that much. But yeah, so we accept these little austerities, but we do them because they're prescribed in the scriptures, and we do them for the pleasure of the Lord, right? That there's a purpose, and we know the purpose that on Ekadasi, it's the day that we want to focus on Krishna and increasing our devotional service to Krishna. And in order to make more time for service, then we put less time into eating, and maybe we sleep a little bit less. I like that. On Ekadasis. And then also, yeah, like Balaram's appearance day, since we skipped breakfast, then everybody could be there for the morning program, and even the cooks could be there for the morning program, right? So it saves a lot of time for everyone. So yeah, these things are helpful. Of course, waking up early in the morning is good because you get the advantage of the Brahma Muhurta is the best time to chant. Like everybody has that experience, right? That the japa that we chant during the japa period from 6 to 7 is so focused, so nice. Afterwards, it's a struggle, right? To even get it done. And even when we're chanting, it's like, oh my God, this is difficult, right? So yeah, those austerities are for a purpose. But he's saying that other people who are of a demoniac nature, they perform austerities and penances, but not to please the Lord, not because for any spiritual advancement, but out of false ego, out of pride, to try to get power, basically, because you get power from austerity. We see that like Hiranyakashipu, yeah, he went and did his austerities and he became very powerful. And by his austerities, he basically coerced Lord Brahma into giving him certain benedictions and then he used his power that he got from that to usurp the positions of the demigods and to basically kill a lot of innocent people and cows and devotees and basically torment the universe. So yeah, this kind of austerities that Krishna is talking about, that people that, and he definitely tortured the elements of his body because he was standing on his toes with his hands up for so long that the ants were coming and just basically consuming his flesh while he was alive. And he was so austere that he wasn't flinching. He was just standing there and letting the ants eat his whole body. They made like a huge anthill around his body. And he was so powerful at that point that he was keeping his soul and his life air circulating within his bones, like within the bone marrow, because his flesh was all eaten up. That's how crazy it was. But he didn't die. So instead, then Brahma came and blessed him with a strong, healthy body, and then he had all this crazy power. So yeah, another example is of doing a austerity for out of ego and torturing the body. There was one person, his name was Rikasura, and he wanted to, yeah, he had a lot of hatred and envy towards people, and he wanted to be able to just easily kill people he wanted to get this boon by which he could touch someone's head and their head would explode and they would die. So then what he did to try to, get that power was that he made a fire, like a sacrificial fire. And the idea was he was doing this sacrifice to try to please Lord Shiva, thinking Shiva could give him this boon. And he was cutting off his own flesh and offering it into the sacrificial fire. So usually in the fire, we'll offer, some like grain, like seeds, whole wheat grains or something, sesame seeds, ghee, like that. But he was cutting his chunks of his flesh off and offering into the fire. He was cutting so many chunks off his flesh. And then after some time, he was like, why Lord Shiva he's not responding. Because Lord Shiva was aware that he was doing this, but he was just like, you know what, I am not going to indulge this. This is so messed up. Like, I'm not going to reward this kind of behavior. So he was kind of neglecting him. And then finally, Rikasura was just like, Lord Shiva's not responding. I need to take it to the next level. So then he was like, all right, I'm going to cut off my own head and offer it into the sacrificial fire. So then he was just about to like cut his own head off. I wonder if one could even do that. I don't know, because by the time you get halfway through, like you're done. But anyways, that was his intention. And just as he was about to like, cut his own head off, Lord Shiva appeared and was like, stop, like this is just way too much. You're taking it way too far. What do you want from me? And then and then Vikasura said, I want this benediction by which, I can touch someone's head and it'll explode. And Lord Shiva was just like, like this is so bad. It's like, I don't want to be any part of this. And then, but he thought this guy's going to kill himself and it's going to be all my fault. So let me just give him his thing. And so then he gave him the benediction. He said, so be it. And then Vikasura was so like ungrateful and just horrible that he was like, all right, now let me see if it works. And he wanted to touch Lord Shiva's head. And then Lord Shiva, he knew that it was going to work because he's powerful. So and he gave the benediction. So Lord Shiva started running. He was running, and this Vikasura was chasing him all over the universe. And finally they went up to the abode of Lord Vishnu. And then Lord Vishnu totally understood the situation. So then he appeared. He took the form of like a small boy. And then when he saw this chase going on, Lord Shiva went to him and he was like hiding behind him, and knowing that Lord Shiva knew he was Vishnu in disguise. And then the little boy was like, hey, what's going on here? And Vrigasura said, he gave me a benediction and I'm just trying to test because I think he might have cheated me and I want to make sure it works. And then the little boy who was Vishnu said, yeah, I mean, Lord Shiva is known to be a cheater. He probably cheated you blind. Like, in fact, I'm so sure that he was cheating you that, I'm 100% sure that it's not going to work. And then the Vikasura was like, yeah, you're probably right. 100% sure it didn't work. And then the boy said, if I was you, I would be so sure that he cheated me that I would just touch my own head just to prove it. And then Vikasura was so dumb. He's like, yeah, I'm so sure that Lord Shiva didn't actually give me the benediction that I'm going to touch my own head just to prove it. And then he touches his own head and he was done. So that was the result of his austerities. Yeah, so that's what Krishna is talking about, is these demoniac people who just out of ego, out of envy, out of hatred, they do some austerity to try to get some power so that they can basically hurt other people. And in the course of doing it, they also hurt themselves, because Hiranyakashipu hurt himself. Rikasura was hurting himself, impelled by lust and attachment. And it said not only did they torture their own bodies, but also the super soul dwelling in the body. So even the Paramatma within that person is thinking, what is going on here? This is absolutely insane. Because what Paramatma really wants is for us all to actually make spiritual advancement. So then the Paramatma becomes distressed when he sees that, well, here's somebody who's doing a lot of austerity. They're doing a yagya, they're, giving charity, they're doing, some kind of process that's meant for spiritual advancement, but they're just using it for the wrong purposes, and just making the whole thing is becoming perverse. And maybe he's being the conch shell for the program. Are you well, Nandaraja? Oh, you brought the little conch shell. Oh, thank you so much. We'll have someone bring them right back. You're having special kirtan tonight. Arjun's doing a program about transcendental sound vibration. So we're gonna have the blowing of the conch to accompany the kirtan, and it's gonna be a sound bath. All right. So yeah. So we have to remember that, when we're doing any kind of austerity, we have to be doing it for the right reason, right? Do it for the pleasure of Krishna, do it for spiritual advancement. Don't do it out of ego, because sometimes this can happen. I've seen this, and maybe I've even done this in my younger fanatical years of Krishna consciousness, is, like waking up at 2:00 in the morning and chanting all your rounds before 4:30 Mangalarti, and, just to be able to say that you did it, and like taking cold showers. And it's like, okay, those things are helpful and they probably did help me. But at the same time, I definitely remember feeling like, holier than thou or something, because I was doing those things and others weren't doing it, so kind of like pure devotee syndrome, you know what I mean? So often we go through a phase like that, and yeah, usually doesn't last long before we realize that we're actually not pure devotees. But anyways, so just we have to be careful that the reason that I'm doing this thing is to please Krishna, is because it's favorable for my spiritual advancement. And if some pride does well up as a result of it, then, just kick it out of there. just go ahead and do some menial service. Near Jolly Kadashi. Yeah. Yeah, so there are a lot of Lavangas say near Jolly Kadashi bragging is real. So there are devotees who do near Jolly, means on Ekadasi, they don't eat any food at all, nor even fruits, nor even water. So near Jolly means without water. And they'll do Ekadasi like that. And then they'll be looking down on people who are like, having their Ekadasi pizza and Ekadasi puris and and sweet balls and all kinds of things on Ekadasi. And they'll be like, like you people are sense gratifiers, sense enjoyers. Yeah. So Ekadasi pizza is good.
This to be so austere.
Yeah. So we just have to keep in mind that this kind of thing, that if we're doing it just because of pride and false ego, to show that we're better than others, and if we're doing any austerity that's actually like really unhealthy for the body, that's like putting our physical health into jeopardy, then that's not really spiritual. It's not divine. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next verse here. Oh, now we're going to hear about food. Good. Text 7. Aharastrapi sarvasya trividho bhavati priyaha yagyas tapas tata danam tesham vedam imam shrinu. Kritika?
Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now hear of the distinctions between them. Purport. In terms of different situations in the modes of material nature, there are differences in the manner of eating and performing sacrifices, austerities, and charities. They are not at all conducted on the same level. Those who can understand analytically what kind of performances are in what modes of material nature are actually wise. Those who consider all kinds of sacrifice or food or charity to be the same cannot discriminate, and they are foolish. There are missionary workers who advocate that one can do whatever he likes and attain perfection, but these foolish guides are not acting according to the direction of the scripture. They are manufacturing ways and misleading the people in church.
Okay. Yeah, so this section of Bhagavad Gita here is very practical because it's talking about, things that we do and how these things can be in goodness, passion, or ignorance. And after hearing about the qualities and the results and the destination of people who are influenced by goodness, passion, and ignorance, then, we know that the best thing is obviously to be in the mode of goodness and to try to really avoid the modes of passion and ignorance. So one way that we can elevate ourselves to the mode of goodness is by making choices, right? It's simple, like just daily lifestyle choices that support the mode of goodness. And then that will communicate, to the powers that be that we're interested in the mode of goodness. And so then the mode of goodness will influence us, right? It's like algorithms in the internet that you're searching for something a few different ways. You're searching for this one thing or something very similar, then all those ads come up for that thing, right? So if we're choosing the mode of goodness here, choosing the mode of goodness there, then the mode of goodness is going to start just presenting itself to us. And mode of passion, ignorance will not come our way because we've communicated through our choices that we're not interested in it. So it's not going to waste its time with us. So yeah, just like someone who never clicks on, pornography is going to stop getting suggested pornography videos because, advertisers are wasting their time and money putting them there. So like that. Okay. So now let's hear about foods and the modes. Then we know what we can eat, what to eat. Text 8. Ayu sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardanaha rasya snigdha stira hridya ahara sattvika priyaha.
Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increases the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart.
Mm. Yeah, so foods in the mode of goodness. Yeah, so those foods which increase the duration of life. In other words, healthy foods, right? That keep you healthy, that make you live long, that don't make you die young. And no junk foods. Foods that purify the existence. So that's yeah, foods like, let's say you have foods that basically you eat them and they clean out they like cleanse, they're cleansing, they eliminate, unhealthy cholesterols and toxins and whatever, all these free radicals in the body and things like that, right? So foods that basically like they clear out diseases and they give you strength and health and happiness. So, when you eat something that's like if you eat junk food, you might feel happy as soon as you put it on your tongue, but after you swallow a few of those, you start feeling bad, right? So that's the nature of happiness and the mode of passion, that pleasure in the beginning, but misery in the end. So foods in the mode of goodness, they give you happiness and satisfaction. So you eat them, and after you had a nice, healthy mode of goodness meal, you feel good. You feel satisfied, you feel healthy, you feel strong, you feel nourished, and you feel good about yourself, right? You're like, oh, that was great. Just had a really healthy meal, right? So yeah, it says these foods are juicy. The words he used here, rasya. Rasya means, yeah, juicy and tasty. Snigdha, Prabhupada translates as fatty. Snigdha also means, maybe that's not within, it might be a different word. Anyways, like wholesome, yeah. And stira means that they last, how does he translate it? Yeah, wholesome, pleasing to the heart. And priya, yeah. Oh, priya sattvika means they're dear to the person, the mode of goodness. Snigdha means affection.
Yeah, soft, tender, affectionate.
Yeah, that's what snigdha means. I don't know why he called it fatty. I think maybe like foods that are like creamy and stuff are like smooth, tender, and affectionate. I don't know. Anyways, Prabhupada translated it that way. So we're getting so many guests today. Palatable. Oh, Lavanga is saying that in the previous edition, the word snigdha was translated as palatable. That makes sense. That actually makes more sense because snigdha means something that's dear, that you have affection for, right? So palatable means like you find it tasty. Someone's at the door. Okay, let's go to the next verse, text 9. Katkamla lavanat yushna ikshna ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha shoka maya prada. Hare Krishna, what's your name? Isaiah. Oh yeah, we know. You've been away for a while, or? Okay. Okay, yeah. Is Trista here?
I think he is.
Let me just see. Just answers. Hey, Trista. Isaiah's here. Remember your old friend Isaiah who used to come and hang out with you? Well, he's right down here in the Krishna House living room. Are you upstairs? Where are you? Yeah, come on down. Very well. Okay. That's okay. So we're talking about, right now we're talking about foods and the different modes of nature. So there's 3 modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And we're talking about how different foods have different effects on our consciousness. So, yeah. Yeah, hang on. So foods, yeah, we just read the verse about foods in the mode of goodness. So foods in the mode of goodness are any foods that are very healthy, they, help you live a long life, they help clear out diseases and they give you energy and strength and you feel satisfied and happy after eating them. Like wholesome foods, right? So those are foods in the mode of goodness. And now we just read the verse about foods in the mode of passion. Go ahead and read that then. Yeah.
Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease.
All right, yeah. So the mode of passion is the mode which kind of gets us excited about things, but afterwards kind of like leaves us in the doldrums, It's like, oh yeah, I'm so excited about that, but then afterwards you kind of feel bad and you regret that you did it, right? It's not well, mode of passion is not well thought out, right? So foods that are too salty, too spicy, it's very dry, burning, too bitter, too sour. So the thing, anything that's too anything, right? Like too sweet, too, spicy, hot, burning your tongue. Those things are not, they're out of balance, right? They're just excessive. So what happens when we eat those kinds of foods is it throws the body out of balance, throws the physical health out of balance, and afterwards we don't feel good, right? If you eat too many sweets, you get a stomach ache. If you eat like spicy stuff, also you get your stomach starts burning, your intestines are on fire. If you eat too much salt, then it just like dries you out and makes you dehydrated, and yeah, all these things. So Krishna, this is Krishna talking about this. So he says these foods cause distress, misery, and disease. So the commentators on this verse, they make some distinction between these three words, distress, misery, and disease. So they said that distress indicates pain while eating it. So, it's like you're eating some vegetable dish that's cooked by, like in an Indian restaurant or Thai restaurant or something, and you take one bite and it's like your tongue's on fire, your lips are burning, your nose starts running, your eyes are watering. So like distress while eating. Yeah, because you don't want to like look like a wimp or something, or because you're really hungry. So pain while eating. And then misery refers to depression after eating. So this is after you eat it and you're just like, feel terrible, right? Sometimes that happens with a lot of sweets, right? When you eat them and then while you're eating it, you kind of feel like, all right, I know this is not good for me, but it tastes so good, I can't not eat it. But then afterwards, you kind of like your sugar high is over and you kind of crash and then you're just on a downer, you get kind of depressed, you're like, so that's the misery here, depression after eating. Also, like, yeah, eating just any kind of junk food basically can make you just feel kind of depressed afterwards. Like if you eat a whole big, huge, like family size bag of Lay's potato chips or something, you're not going to feel happy after that, right? And then disease, this is referring to the longer term consequences that, you end up with like heart disease or kidney failure or, like serious disease, long-term consequences, or just, sometimes you eat foods, the wrong kind of foods, you can get like can cause arthritis and joint pain, and like diet affects like almost everything. That if we like it is cumulative over decades of eating the wrong foods, all kinds of diseases can come about, even if they don't seem directly related to that food. Right? Okay, so that's food in the mode of passion. Now it gets worse. Food in the mode of ignorance. Text 10. Yata yamam gata rasam puti paryushitam chayat uchistam api chamedyam bhojanam tamasa priyam. Vanga, would you like to read? I got a few people here online.
I can, but I'm not sure if you guys can hear me because my neighbors are having a party.
No, I can't hear them at all. We can hear you only.
Okay. So where are we at again?
Text 10, 17:10.
Okay. Of sacrifices, that sacrifice
No, wait.
towards, I'm sorry.
Chapter 17,
Okay, yeah.
text 10.
Text 10. Okay,
Oh, yeah,
okay,
you
hold
were on
on.
11. You were on 11.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so such foods, called, because such
No,
foods called,
foods prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten.
okay. Food cooked more than 3 hours before being eaten, which is tasteless, stale, putrid, decomposed, and unclean, is food liked by people in the mode of ignorance. Sorry.
Your translation's a little bit different. That's okay. The purport will be
Yeah,
the same. Go ahead.
yeah, it's okay. Because I think they put 8, 9, and 10 together in my translation.
Oh,
That's okay. Okay, so I'm trying to find where we are in the purport.
oh my God.
Well,
It
support.
starts, the purpose of food is to increase the duration of life.
Okay, the purpose of food is to increase the duration of life. All right.
Otherwise, I can
Okay.
get someone else.
Okay, the purpose of food is to increase the duration of life. Sorry.
You got it.
Purify the mind and aid bodily strength. This is its only purpose. In the past, great authorities selected those foods that best aid health and increase life's duration, such as milk products, sugar, rice, wheat, fruits, and vegetables. These fruits are very dear to those in the mode of goodness. Such other foods, such as baked corn and molasses, while not very palatable in themselves, can be made pleasant when mixed with milk or other foods. They are then in the mode of goodness. All these foods are pure by nature. They are quite distinct from untouchable things like meat and liquor. Fatty foods, as mentioned in the 8th verse, have no connection with animal fat obtained by slaughter. Animal fat is available in the form of milk, which is the most wonderful of all foods. Milk, butter, cheese, and similar products give animal fat in a form which rules out any need for the killing of innocent creatures. It is only through brute mentality that this killing goes on. The civilized method of obtaining needed fat The civilized method of obtaining needed fat is by milk. Slaughter is the way of subhumans. Protein is amply available through split leaves, dal, whole food, wheat, etc. Foods in the mode of passion, which are bitter, too salty, or too hot, are overly mixed with red pepper, cause misery by producing mucus in the stomach, leading to disease. Foods in the mode of ignorance or darkness are essentially those that are not fresh. Any food cooked more than 3 hours before it is eaten, except for shadam, food offered to the Lord, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. Because they are decomposing, such foods give a bad odor, which often attracts people in this mode, but repulses those in the mode of goodness. Remnants of food may be eaten only when they are a part of a meal that was first offered to the Supreme Lord, are eaten by saintly persons, especially the spiritual masters. Otherwise, the remnants of food are considered to be in the mode of darkness, and may increase infection or disease. Such foodstuffs, although very palatable to persons in the mode of darkness, are neither liked nor even touched by those in the mode of goodness. The best food is the remnants of what is offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord says that he accepts preparations of vegetables, flour, and milk when offered with devotion. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Of course, the devotion and love are the chief things which the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts. But it is also mentioned that the prasadam should be prepared in a particular way. Any food prepared by the injunctions of the scripture and offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be taken even if prepared long, long ago, because such food is transcendental. Therefore, to make food antiseptic, eatable, and palatable for all persons, one should offer food to the Supreme Personality of God.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So, yeah. So food in the mode of ignorance, that's food that's old, that's going bad, that's starting to decompose. It's been like sitting around for several hours outside the fridge or even in the fridge for a few days or something. And yeah, so that's one category of food in the mode of ignorance that's like kind of putrid and decomposing. And then another one is yeah, like remnants of food that like somebody started eating off a plate. You know, like one time I worked in a restaurant and so they would serve the customers and it was like a pretty fancy restaurant. So the food was like it was like high quality food, right? And it was expensive to eat there. So then there was one guy who was washing the dishes and the waiter would bring the plates back and give them to the dishwasher and they would still have like people didn't eat everything on the plate. So whatever was there was still on the plate and the dishwasher would be like, "Oh yeah." You know, like some expensive like delicacy was there on their plate and he'd be like eating it. But it's like, ew, right? It's kind of gross. So yeah, why do like instinctively, like intuitive, we're like, ew, right?
Yeah.
Because it's in the mode of ignorance, even though you could say, well, what's wrong with it? You know, it's just it's good food. So, but because
Yeah.
it's somebody's remnants, it becomes like mode of ignorance, untouchable. Yeah. And then the other thing is, Prabhupada says, meat and liquor. So liquor, because it's, you know, it's also, it's kind of decomposed. It's like fermented, right? It's basically like rotten grains that get all bubbly and alcohol is a waste product of the fermentation process. So it's just a kind of decomposition. And then, meat, because it's a product of violence and violence is an act in the mode of ignorance. So, yeah. So the thing is that when we eat food in the mode of ignorance, it makes us ignorant, right? When we drink alcohol and eat meat and eat like, you know, just old rotten food and remnants from some person, if it's not prasadam, then yeah, it affects our consciousness. It's not just that it affects our health, but it also affects our minds and our consciousness, and it kind of like makes us dull, right? Because that's one of the symptoms of the mode of ignorance. It's just kind of dull, just like ignorant, you know, dull and ignorant, closed-minded, and kind of like bigoted and yeah, like that. So there's a lot of people like that in the world because a lot of people, you know, eat these things and eat like, you know, and they think it's actually like high class, you know, to have like steaks and wine and like blue cheese, you know, on crackers or something, you know, like really like nastily fermented, decomposed foods. And afterwards, they're not able to actually understand um, philosophy. You know, they're not able to even like get a grip on spirituality and finer philosophical points about the soul and about God and things. So yeah, it's unfortunate. And it's amazing how much we can actually like help ourselves. You know, we can really like improve our consciousness just by making the right food choices. Yeah. Did you have a question, Isaiah?
No,
Oh, okay, I thought you're going. Okay, no, I thought I saw your hand pop up and go down. Uh-uh. Would anyone like to share something from your own experience about food and how it affects your consciousness?
definitely say that. My favorite place to go to would be Brewery Barbecue, where well, I constantly go there, and I have a girlfriend and my dad who are very close here, which I see myself almost after that time where I would actually eat with them and converse, of course, drink alcohol, etc. Um, days later, or even after the fact, before then, it would be like a lot of excitement, a lot of high energy. But after the fact, we were tired, sluggish, and then even days going on, it would kind of show itself to the point to where meaningless arguments and fighting would go on in my household, and even with just people who I was like conversing with and having a good time with maybe hours of the day prior. But it's something that, at least I'm hearing now, it makes a lot more sense to me as to why it's not really the best ethical way to, well, not really eat, but also to spend time with loved ones. But when you were thinking about working at a restaurant and of course how the dishwashers would just eat food off the plate, kind of made me feel like, wow, that's how low people would stoop to get essentially a fix of something
Mhm.
that might not be good for them, but it brings temporary pleasure. But as time goes on, regret, disease, heck, even fatigue, things of that nature. And it hits close to home saying that essentially, like when you said that, it's something more relatable of some things that I would do that weren't really all that long ago.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, very insightful. Thanks for sharing.
Of course, thank you.
It was a very good, it was a good example, it's exactly what Prabhupada's saying here. Good to go.
Yeah, I've noticed personally, like when I've experimented actually on myself. If I'm doing like more like fresh vegetables and fresh fruits and things like that in my diet, then it just makes you feel very light
Hmm.
and kind of like I just see how my skin starts glowing, and then like everything is like basically you feel good, you look good. It just has so much effect. It's
Yeah.
just so I tried like a detox diet. Like I was just doing smoothies, like greens and then the fruits. And I was so surprised. I was like, even like if we can just have like yeah, just the fresh veggies, like the fresh greens. I was just putting fresh greens and some apples and some lemon and then maybe one more thing, dates maybe. So I was just having that as my breakfast.
Hmm.
And then in the lunch also I was doing another green something. And basically my grain, I was consuming grain just once a day. And I saw like, oh my gosh, like I'm feeling good from inside, I'm looking good from outside. Food has a lot of effect.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Even when we drink the beetroot juice, I feel so energized. I feel like drink every day.
Okay.
It's so refreshing actually.
Yeah.
So anything which is natural, I feel it has a lot of like good energy.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I want to share one thing. Like my mother never allowed us eating outside because she said that this is all tamasic food outside, you should not eat.
Hmm.
So when I was living in India, it was all COVID, and I was eating every time in home at home, like
Mhm.
no outside food from years.
Right.
When I came here, we went to first trip to Houston, and my body could not take, like for 5 days I could not eat anything from outside rest. Like I wanted to eat, I was hungry, but still my body didn't take. Even like if I take one bite, my body said no to second. So I was just eating fruits.
Wow.
So and I didn't know that, okay, what is this happening? Then later, few months later, when I was used to eating,
You gradually conditioned yourself to.
conditioned because had to make it. So then I realized, oh, that is why my body did not take any food from outside, and that actually changed my consciousness when I was living there, because you start having some thoughts about, okay, like evil thoughts and all kind of
Mm.
thoughts when we live with people and eat food from there,
Yeah.
spicy.
Yeah. Yeah. So the best thing, I mean, Krishna doesn't mention it here. He's talking about the modes of nature. So he talked about goodness, passion, ignorance, but above and beyond all these foods is transcendental food. And that's prasadam, yeah, food that's been offered to Krishna. So the idea is that we should, prepare foods that are in the mode of goodness and then offer those to Krishna. And then it's called prasadam, which means the mercy of the Lord. Oh, Lavangi, you had your hand up?
I was just gonna give an example.
Sure.
But I remember when I was in Mexico, staying there for a while, they eat a lot of chilies. They put it in everything, like even their candy. So all their food is like very spicy. And I noticed being there after eating that diet, started to become like agitated more quickly, you know?
Hmm.
And my stomach was always burning, and I had horrible like acid reflux and all this stuff. And I noticed like even just watching the people eating this diet, everybody is like very, very like quick, go, like the next thing, the next thing, the next thing.
Hustling, yeah.
Very, very like passionate, like doing like 12, 14-hour days and stuff like that. They don't like stop. It's a very like passionate atmosphere.
Hmm.
So I saw firsthand, like when you have a whole population like that, it's
Yeah. Yeah, you eat foods in the mode of passion and you're just gonna end up, yeah, just being passionate, just like being intense about everything that you do and like pushing yourself beyond the limits and yeah,
and even
working.
their TV shows, like it's all telenovelas, like soap
Yeah.
operas.
It's all intense, full of like romance and scandals and people getting angry at each other and fighting and threatening and yeah.
I have definitely like felt the thing when I eat the prasadam because I used to eat food a lot outside before,
Uh-huh.
but after living here and sometimes when my japa is not good, I feel like I feel eat outside.
Mm.
That's why I try to eat. I'd rather stay hungry even at work
Uh-huh.
than eat outside because if I eat one day from outside, then for 3 or 4 days my japa is not good. Yeah.
Wow. It's a realization.
The time I eat or like when I eat late at night,
Mm.
then
Yeah. That's also another thing is like
That's
to
it.
eat at the right times. Yeah, to eat the right foods, first of all, but also to eat at the right time, right? To eat, like, and also the right amount. Don't eat too much, don't eat too little, and don't eat too late at night. And stuff.
I feel like when I'm stressed or something, I overeat.
Yeah,
When I'm happy, I don't eat a lot, but when just I don't know, it's just like
comfort food.
yeah, you need to happy then.
Yeah, some people do that. I think I do that too when I'm like upset. I'll go and eat because I don't know, like eating makes you happy. Like it makes it taste. If it tastes good, you feel like you're getting some pleasure. So when life is bad, it's like okay, at least I can get a little pleasure out of eating.
The sweets.
Yeah, exactly. And you indulge a little bit. So, all right. Any thoughts on this, Daniel? How food affects the consciousness, the mind?
Really? Just thinking about my time in Lindale, thinking about real drastic difference, like the person I was staying with had really bad digestive issues and like just cough nonstop. And is there something we can do to help, because it sounded painful. And but I don't know, she just like wouldn't stop eating like, like chocolate or like, junk at night. I noticed sometimes like because I asked her if we could like offer things to Krishna, like because she would cook sometimes and be like, let's offer it to Krishna. And she did that, and I noticed like when she did that, she would feel a lot better that day.
Hmm.
And especially if like it was good ingredients and stuff. But
Cool.
I noticed a big change like when yeah, when the eating changed.
Okay. Yeah, it makes a big difference, especially if we offer it to Krishna, then it makes a huge difference. Okay, all right, so 5 o'clock, we better wrap it up.
Yeah.
So thank you, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Bhagavad Gita ki jai.